here, right now. Calling out to all area crew, we gon' make it all happen right here, right now. Calling out to all area crew, we gon' make it all happen right here, right now. Calling out to all area crew, we gon' make it all happen right here, right now.
Hey everybody, welcome to Eggs. Today's guest is a highly anticipated one. We've actually been trying to find time to connect for more than 2 months. Our guest, Redlight, aka Almighty Red, is the manager and executive producer for DP Beats. DP is a rap producer responsible for the sounds of such artists as Chief Keef, Wiz Khalifa, Travis Scott, Lil Uzi Vert, Future, and so many more. We heard about Red by way of the Borja Factor, who, as you know, is a huge hip-hop fan and fan of Spanish rapper Young Beef, who's currently working with Red and DP. Red is currently based in New York City by way of Florida, and you can find his work on SoundCloud by searching for Leaders of the New Trap Sound. Ladies and gents, without further ado, our guest, and we're damn glad to have him, the Almighty Red.
Really good.
Cool. But anyway, welcome to the show, Red. We're super stoked to have you. I mean, I know this has been an epic feat trying to find a schedule that worked for both of us, and I am super grateful we found you.
I apologize for that. I know sometimes I can be very difficult to get in contact with and very difficult to find and capture, but I'm here and I'm available for you guys. You guys are doing a phenomenal job, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, well, we're stoked to have pinned you down at least for an hour so we can sit and rap for a minute.
Yeah, thanks very much for making time for us. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Really appreciate it, too.
Yeah, so Borja mentioned, though, before we get any further, he heard a little bit of news about a guy in the hip-hop business, and unfortunately this happens a lot, but we read a little something. Borja, you want to talk about the story?
Yeah, first of all, rest in peace, Fredo. I know you met him in person. I am a huge fan of the whole Glow Gang, of Chief Keef, Fredo, and the whole squad. And I know DP and you have been working close to them. And as a fan and you as a friend, maybe we should remember him. And if you want to say something and pay.
Yeah, no, definitely. I appreciate the love first and foremost. I was just talking to DP a few moments ago before we even got on this call, and I was telling him, I was shocked because I literally have a picture from him in his house with DP about, January 11th, 2017. So that was 9 days to the year of him passing away. I literally was just with him the same time last year. So, he's probably, what people don't know about him, he's probably one of the most mature, he's the glue of the whole team. He's the person actually that brought DP over and brought Sosa and everybody over to meet, to kind of bring them back together, because there was a small internal rift between DP and Sosa at one point in time. You know what I mean? So for me to kind of see this happen, it's just kind of, it's crazy for me, because I literally was just sitting with him in his house, this same time last year. We was smoking and we was just talking and, talking about business and just talking about all type of stuff. You know what I mean? He was like, I'm grown now. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm 27. I'm grown. I got different priorities to worry about. You know what I mean? And you could see on his face, the maturation, and you could see the amount of stuff he's gone through in his life, but he's actually made it to this particular point where he's at now. You know what I mean? This is before he had a child too. So, it's crazy. I know for DP, he feels it on a deeper level because he has a direct relationship with Fredo like that. You know what I mean? It's rough. You know what I mean? I literally just found out about this maybe 30 minutes ago, 45 minutes ago, because shout out to AT&T, I have data restrictions, so I can't see the pictures, or I can see people saying stuff to Sosa, but I can't see the picture. So I'm thinking in my head, it's whatever. I don't know who it is. And then I found out, and I'm like, wow. So it's rough, man. Rest in peace to him. He's a really, really good man, and it's unfortunate to see somebody like him be taken away when he was the glue and the actual he was the maturest one that I met out of all of them. He was the most mature one. Yeah. He was the one that actually he was more of the man out of the group. You get what I mean? So the one that you could go do business with, the one that you could sit down with and talk to, the one that he's like the one like the outsiders could initially talk to, because Sosa's not gonna talk to you like that. Tato's not gonna talk to you like that. Ballout's not gonna talk to you like that. You know, Fredo's really the one, and if you could tell by all the other rappers that he's worked with and the producers he's worked with, he's really like the first person that you talk to from the outside to the Glow Gang, like him. You know what I mean? He's the first person. So it's kind of hard to see that happen, man.
Yeah, that
really
sucks. But hey, it's a nice tribute, man, and it's cool that that you've got some cool memories of that guy. So rest in peace, Fredo.
Of course.
Now, transitioning into to our conversation with you, let's sort of start at the beginning. So you're a Florida native, born in Florida, but at some point you decided to leave everything behind and pursue your dreams in New York City. So can you tell us about your background, sort of what motivated you, and when you knew it was time to go to the Big Apple?
Honestly, I was in South Florida, you know, born and raised. My bad, it's small. My whole life, and I did the Foul 100. So just to go back and real back, I've always been in music. Like I used to manage somebody named Arson Capone. He's a local rapper in Coconut Creek in South Florida. Shout out to my guys back home. So I used to manage a rapper, and I used to rap myself back in like I was 16 and 15 and stuff like that. So I've always had this ear to music. I started working with Max B right when he got locked up. Like, he was doing drops for me. And he was like, I was getting like, you know, mixtape promos done with him and stuff like that. So that was really my first experience into like music management, working with Max B, working with his mother, Miss Sharon Wingate, working also with French Montana's people, working with Harry Fraud. Like, I known Harry Fraud from like 2007, 2006. You know what I mean? Like,
days.
Very, very, very early days. Like, people don't even know, like, I have like a relationship with Harry Fraud to where it's like, you know, some of his family members live in Jupiter, Florida, and that's actually not too far from where I used to live at in South Florida. It was like an hour away. So we had some similarities, and I was a young kid, so I was always into music. Around in 2013, as I got older, obviously the rap career wasn't going to go nowhere. I got older, so
young and spry anymore.
Yeah, you know, you get to a point where you're like, yeah, that's not going to work. So you need to transition and do something else. But I've always still wanted to be involved in music. So, you know, I created a website which was called thefoul100s.com, which is similar to World Star Hip Hop, but more on a music and art and entertainment standpoint, and
not
less
just videos of people kicking each other's ass.
Yeah, people just getting beat up and nudity, amateur porn, and all the nonsense and all the clickbait foolishness. You know what I mean? So I did that, and it was very successful. That's where I started meeting a lot of these underground rappers too. But where my transition came into New York now is that I started noticing when I created the Foul Hundreds that the website started to grow, and I started to network with people from different states. Like, I ran into ATL Smoot, you know, he's from Atlanta. I ran into Young Bands, he's from Atlanta. I ran into all these different people from the power of the internet from my website. But we were very successful. It's still being ran to this day in South Florida. We did a show with the Migos in 2014. Like a little bit at like December 24th-ish. It was, December 24th, 2014. We brought the Migos down to South Florida. We did it in Broward. It was a show by the Foul Hundreds. We did that. I've done work with all type of artists across the country just based off the website. I started noticing, though, in South Florida that the venues that we had available to us were starting to be taken away. They're starting to be dissolved. You know, companies, obviously, you know, there's business transition, and, you know, as years go and years progress, the landscape turns different in regards to real estate, and people in certain countries, in certain cities, they look at landscape of real estate as, okay, we need to make $1 as quickly as we possibly can. So having a building where you do underground music shows or concerts for the kids, yeah, that's good for the arts and crafts scene, but is that really good for the bottom line of your dollar in the business scene? Probably not. So that's why you started to see a lot of the venues to dissolve around the city, and it kind of put the scene in a position where we didn't have any place really to project our art.
Was that just because there was a lack of, desire to have a hip hop show versus like a rock show or a...
It was, to be honest with you, it's any type of entertainment, even with, and for me, like I've done music with R&B, I've done music with rock, I've done business with a lot of people with a lot of genres and a lot of different ideas because I'm very transparent, but I also like to think outside of the box and do things that are very creative. That's how you become an innovator. You got to sometimes step out of the box. But you start to notice that in South Florida, it's just a numbers game. As real estate continues to boom and you start to see more high risers and big buildings and whatnot go around the city within real estate, you start to realize the surrounding places next to the big buildings that are coming up, those become dissolved too, because you have to have something to accommodate the real estate that's being created in the city. So if I live in a 45-story high riser, the chances are I don't want that venue that does rock shows and hip hop shows right next to my house making all that noise and doing all that stuff.
Kids out late at night, yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather have a food store, or I'd rather have a furniture place where I can go buy my furniture there, or something that is more lucrative for the everyday person that lives around there. You know what I mean? And another thing that is a big deterrent from cities being successful from a dollars and cents standpoint is having venues in your city. People will not want to buy or rent in the city due to the fact that there is 3 or 4 venues across town in the area. You know what I mean? That has like that's a noise situation you're going to run into, violence, robbery, any type of things because you have so much amount of people that's around in your area. So South Florida made the decision to cut away from that.
Yeah, Seattle's been kind of doing the same thing down in Belltown. There's a lot of really good venues, even 5 years ago, that have just shut down, closed doors just because they're cracking down on just nightlife in general. They don't want people having fun per se.
It's unfortunate. It is, but as a business person, you have to look at it as like, okay, where is you have to project the landscape of where you're at from years from now in business.
Oh yeah. One of the big
are you
venues.
going to be in exactly. Are you going to be in a city that is thriving within your scene, or is it being dissolved?
Yeah.
So
one of the venues I remember specifically got shut down because Amazon ended up taking over their lease. So they shut the venue down, and Amazon came in and made it office space. So it was one of my favorite venues. It was I think it was called Fornos. But yeah.
And the same thing happened in South Florida, and it gets to a point. It's unfortunate because for us as regular people that are creative and we do art and we're in the scene, we look towards these venues that are only $5,000 to rent or $2,500 to rent or, $1,500 to rent, where we can get 3, 4 people, 5 people together in our collective and patch up and put the money down to do the deposit, to rent the venue, to then bring the people that we know to do the show, to make money, to pay the people, to split back the venue. Even with that process and even with us doing that and still creating memorable moments, it still gets bought out by big business when somebody wants to come to you and present a check to buy out your whole building.
Yeah, so was that kind of your forte, was going in and getting a warehouse and leasing it for a year?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much in South Florida, yeah. I mean, I was doing shows in South Florida like we had a show called Nameless where we would take a rapper or an artist from one county and take another rapper or an artist from another county and pair them together. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted to have fan bases from different counties come together on a common neutral ground and share their energies and share their music and share like what they do and where they come from. It's a great way to break the ice when it comes to territorial, situations. And it also allows people to collaborate. And from a branding standpoint, it gives you the opportunity to stretch your wings, and you're able now to spread even more. Now I have a fan base now from people from another county in Miami-Dade County. I'm from Broward, but I have people now in Miami-Dade County because of the word of them coming over to my show and seeing something different. So we did a lot of that. and that's what goes on in South Florida. I can tell you guys right now, from 2013 to 2015, 16 heavy, until like all the venues went away, everybody was doing that. We were all doing shows. I mean, we had Wynwood down there. We had the Art District. So,
Yeah.
we would all do shows. We do Art Basel every year. I mean, that was really the hunger. And a lot of us down there was just doing shows because people wanted to express themselves. So I noticed that very early. I created the website to give people a platform to express themselves.
So what did what did the website do specifically? Was it a place to host music? Was it a place like a forum to discuss, It
was a place to host music. So basically we would drop and premiere people's mixtapes, albums. I did rock music. We did rock music, hip hop, R&B, gospel. I mean, I did everything. If you were from South Florida, I was going to post it just because of the fact that I wanted to give people that exposure, because other websites at the time were more on the political, if I know you, I'll post it, or, you got to know you got to know the editor, or you know how those things go. So I just wanted to give like my city that I was born and raised from the opportunity to project themselves to a .com space that can get out to mass amount of people in a blink of an eye. And I accomplished that with, the help of Wendy, Giovanna, AKA Giovanna, and Taylor and Nashley and Ocean. I had a strong group of people around me that helped. So
cool.
It was a big wave.
Maybe this is a good place to transition into then. So you're executive producer and manager of DP Beats. Mm-hmm. But clearly you came from this background of event production and promotion and all this stuff. Can you talk a little bit about what the role is of an EP and the type of work you do as a manager, not just to support DP, but any artist?
Yeah, absolutely. So as an executive producer, so I have a bunch of beats from DP, or I have a lot of beats from Dolan Beats, who is a good friend of mine also that I've worked with, I've done business with before. Other producers as well, Trap Money Mellow, the list goes on and on. I have a lot of people, Bass Kids. So what I do is I have all these beats, and I know a lot of these artists throughout the country. I know their sound, and I know what they would sound good with. So I will pick a certain amount of beats to give to them for them to rap on. So a lot of records that you may hear, like a Young Beef record, that CBR record, like I picked that beat for him to rap on, and I told him that the record would be hard.
The record is hard.
Yeah, say that again. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I love that track. I mean, CBR.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so the CBR record just kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, he didn't know DP like that, but I listened to some of his work with Stephen Lean, which is a good friend of mine too, Steve Lean. So I listened to some of his work, and I knew what type of sound would go with him. So I basically just put the records together. But by managing any artist, especially with DP as a producer, I've managed rappers too. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work dealing with an individual, especially of the magnitude of DP. As a producer, I have everybody in my email. I have every A&R from every record label you can think of asking for beats, from Atlantic Records to 300 Entertainment to Universal Music Publishing Group to APG, which is a part of Atlantic. Everybody, for all the artists that are either just getting out of incarceration or they need to start them up or whatever the case may be. It's a lot of work, but it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to do. And it's, how should I say this? Managing somebody with a career like that is really, it's like a emotional responsibility that you have to that person too. If you do not care about this person genuinely, it will never work. You have to be totally invested into these people when you work with them. You have to take their best interests at all times. And you have to be very, very, very on point with what you do. Especially with DP, we have deadlines. We have certain beats we have to submit at certain times with people. We have certain clients that we have to make sure that we cut snippets on a consistent basis that I have to do, that or he has to do. Snippets is not easy when you have to take a whole beat and you have to cut it down to 45 seconds. You have to do that for like 10 or 15 beats to give somebody a decent amount to sample from to see which ones that they would like to purchase.
So
and
how
buy.
does that work? Because I mean, like you're taking a 3-minute track, and there's you got your chorus, your verse, all these different parts of the song. Do you just kind of pick the part you like the best and send it to the artist and say, hey, what do you think?
Basically, I send in the intro to I'll send in the hook basically, or the lead into the hook. So when you first hear DP on the beat, sometimes I'll do that and I'll just let it play out for like a minute so you can hear. I'll probably give you a little bit of a 16, maybe I'll give you 8, but I will probably let you get a nice 1-minute feel of the beat so you get an actual feel of the beat. A lot of other producers, you'll hear them give you like 15, 20 seconds and they'll tag the hell out of it. It's like, how can somebody get a proper sound of the music that you're trying to sell to them if you're tagging the hell out of it and you're making it short? So for us, business-wise, we like to give people long snippets. Like our beats are 2 minutes, 3 minutes, but we'll give you a minute so you get a decent sound to it.
So in the label, I can't even talk, the label world, how does it work for a producer versus like the artist? So the artist, they try and go after 360 deals. They try and do this. Do you just get your flat rate and that's what they get for the beat, or do you get residuals or?
You get residuals. So from a producer standpoint, you can get an administration deal. You can get a publishing deal, which is somebody's taking over your publishing, which means they have a percentage of everything that you do, basically. So if you sign, even as a rapper, if you sign to a label, they're gonna ask you for your publishing. So that means anything that you do with your name on it.
Yeah, they want your merch. They want your
whatever.
Yeah, everything.
They want a percentage of that. Now, if you're good and you're popping and they want to put a campaign behind you and put some money behind you, they'll give you an advance. But the advance is a loan, and the advance is based off of what they think that you're going to project 6 months from now or 12 months from now. They will not exceed the advance off of the projection. So in your head, you may think you're worth 150,000, but to them, you may only be worth 50,000. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So the way that, and then when you sign the deal, they're taking anywhere from 60 to 70 to 75. If you got screwed, 80% of your publishing, and you're only keeping 20% of it. So think of it. You guys understand math and logic. If you're only getting 20% back of what you are worth, and you are now taking an advance, which is a loan on 150,000, and you're only getting 20% back, how do you expect to pay that back?
Yeah, it
no.
makes zero
How do you
sense
expect
to me.
Pay that back to get to zero?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Well, and so maybe this is a good time to ask this question. You mentioned a moment ago Atlantic Records, and there's a story floating around right now where they've sort of been accused of underpaying producers by retitling albums mixtapes rather than albums. Do you have any experience with that? Is that something that affected you guys?
In regards to Atlantic, shout out to Atlantic. First and foremost, I'll say that, I know of one of their big A&Rs over there. Shout out to Wartenberg. He's doing a great job over there. He's the A&R for Kodak Black, PNB Rock, A Boogie. And I think he got a little situation with Extension too, so shout out to him. But I've seen those situations happen. They do happen. What I can speak on is that I'll give you guys an example. So we had a situation with an artist. I gave this artist beats, gave him the beats. They ended up using the records. They used 6 of them. He ended up getting signed. So this artist ended up getting signed before. When I gave him the beats, he wasn't signed. When he did the records, he was now signed.
With your beats.
Exactly. So now the label, so for us, okay, we sell our beats and we do executive rights on our beats. Let's just say at that time we were doing it for $3,500 a beat. And then we get splits on the royalties, obviously, because we're the producer, so we're a part of the composer, so we get pieces of that. The label at the time decided to not push the records. The records are still unreleased to this day. partly because they don't want to pay the
percentage,
the fees that it's going to cost to get the beats to the beats from us. So I mean, it does happen.
We used to work with bands down in Phoenix, more rock oriented bands, and one of the bands we worked with, I think it was Capitol or Sony, one of the bigger labels, and they had an artist that was very similar to them that was there first, pretty much, and they signed this band that we worked with pretty much just to record them and sit on their tracks, so that they wouldn't be a competition to this other artist that they were working with. And I mean, does that happen in the hip hop world, or is that more?
Hell yeah!
Okay.
I mean, yeah, big time. I'll give you an example, too, just to further the point. So you have a situation like us where we're independent, and you have a situation like, let's say, Atlantic Records or any of these other places. A lot of times our records will get shelved or get shut down due to the fact that, there's other producers at other labels, and they would rather keep the money in-house. And we don't take that as disrespect. We look at it that's just a part of business. So you think of it from this perspective. If I'm Atlantic Records, and let's say you're a producer and you have a hot record with one of my artists, if I put it out and put money behind it, you're going to be getting all the money from it. And I don't have a situation with you to recoup any of the money back that I'm putting up to get you hot. So I'm giving you basically free promo, and you're going to be eating off a bunch of money from the royalties of it. Yeah. Labels will never do that. Yeah. So in rock, hip hop, gospel, whatever, you know what I mean? Everybody's going to want to keep the money in-house.
Yeah. Well, and that makes sense. I mean, right. I mean, as you said, it's just a business decision.
It is, but it sucks though, because you get shelved a lot. So
and that's unfortunate.
You get individuals who they'll do records with you, they'll get shelved, and then they'll have their producers or they'll have their rapper reference off of your record to get a feel for it and make a type record, and then they'll put the money behind it and then let the record get legs on it. Yeah. So that type of stuff happens too.
Yeah, it's dirty, but I'm sure that happens all the time. So I wanted to, maybe this is a good time to talk about sort of independence versus mainstream. We know that in your case, you guys are independent and you prefer maybe the underground to the mainstream. You're working with a lot of up and comers who, down the road, guys you've been working with 2 and 3 years are now getting picked up by A&R reps and stuff like that. But can you talk about, pros and cons of independence versus working with a label? It seems like
there's almost no reason to work with a label these days, because everything you can pretty much generate a following with no representation.
You could, but the only difference here's the one thing about the label that I must say. They are going to do something that a lot of people can't do independently. They're going to put that money up behind you and put that campaign behind you to get you hot. Like, for an independent artist, it's very hard to do that because you don't have the budget to do that. Or you may have the budget to do it, but you don't have the connections to get on X, or you don't have the connections to get on XXL, or you don't have, a lot of these things are tied into the label. The label, the marketing and PR people at the label, they know these head editors and whatnot at the media outlets. So
the distribution guys, pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a plus for the artist. Independent wise, if you can do it by yourself and get it popping by yourself, then you're gonna win, because you get to keep all your money and keep all your dignity. You don't have to sell out.
So a lot of the records these days are trying to sign them to like 2 or 3 albums, right? Because if they're going to put that money behind them, they want to recoup the future income as well.
Of course. There's really, and right now at this point, in my opinion, I don't see no reason to sign really anybody long term right now. Because if you think about it, the way in the consumption of music right now is just so quick. And on top of that, from a perspective of a label, they look at it like this: the time frame or the lifespan of a hot rapper in these days is maybe a year and a half, 2 years, maybe if you're lucky. You might get a couple artists that break through and do 5 years or 7 years of being relevant, but a lot of times it's only a couple of years. So, with that being said, the labels are gonna pick you up and they're gonna get you for albums and however many albums you could put out. But a lot of times you don't see a lot of the artists that they pick up. They don't complete the contract because a lot of them they can't put out that many albums. So
well, yeah, and as you were starting to say, I mean, people consume music by track now rather than by album.
Exactly.
And so it's totally a different setup. So if you agree to a 3-album deal, for example, that's an awful lot of singles to push.
But think of it like this too. Also, if you sign a deal and you don't have creative control, that means every song that you want to drop or any album that you want to put out, the label has to approve it now. So if they don't like the sound that you're doing, or if it doesn't match with what they think is trending in America at the particular moment in time, they're not going to drop your shit. They're going to shelf you. Excuse me. I don't know if I can.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. They're not going to drop you. They're going to shelf you. So, they're going to shelf you if you can't put out that hit record. I just saw something like Uzi said to a fan a couple of days ago, like, oh, I had to make this type of music because I had to chart. That's exactly the point. When you sign these type of deals, you have to chart. You have to make records that the label is going to believe that could be a hit, that they can start recouping some of the money that they invested into you. You have to do that. So it waters you down a little bit. So
well, yeah, and it seems like that maybe makes for a lot of tracks that sort of sound similar, right? Because you've got these big corporations that are sort of steering the sound rather than independent.
Sometimes you can hear a record in any genre. You can hear a record and hear like 2 artists are on the record, and you can hear like, oh, this definitely sounds like this record was A&R. Like you can tell like the A&R put this whole record together. Like they got the verse from one artist and then they put it together with the other artist, and the artists didn't even talk or was not even in the studio at the same time. They just sent in the verses. Like you could tell, you know what I mean? Because the labels will do that, and then they'll put their special powers that be to make
they'll run the algorithm on it and put it together.
I mean, a lot of the pop songs and even the hip hop songs use the same 5 chord progressions over and over and over. You can hear them in pretty much 3 out of 10 songs, the same exact.
Exactly.
It boggles my mind.
You guys, from a rock standpoint, I feel like you guys are one of like the smartest genres of music because you guys play the guitar and you listen to sound. So you in the rock genre, you guys could hear distinctively when the same sound is being used for every single type of record that's being published right now.
Yeah, and you look back at like Run DMC when they did the collaboration with Aerosmith. That was one of the hottest tracks ever because of the rock hip hop influence. I just think I'm actually shocked it doesn't happen more often.
It's a little, and you know what? I feel like now it would be perfect for it to happen because all the rappers want to be rock stars.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
So I think it would be right now more than ever with the dyeing of the hair and the piercing of the nose and the between the eyes and the lips and all the crazy stuff. I feel like right now that would be more than ever the best time to do it. I wouldn't be surprised if a label decides to do it. But I think right now the labels really like the whole goofy internet, whatever gets the most retweets.
So speaking of that, what are your thoughts on Danielle Bregoli, the Catch Me Outside girl? I mean, that to me seems like they bought her just for the Twitter followers.
Pretty much. I mean, look, I'm an honest person, so I speak the truth. I never hide away from anything. I'm not political. I'm not signed to anybody. I'm signed to myself. So I just think it's a terrible move. I think it waters down the culture. I think somebody like that, if you're gonna pick somebody up and sign them to a record deal based off of being on Dr. Phil and making yourself look like ridiculous on national TV, I think that's just a very sad move. And I think that there's plenty of artists that are all throughout the country that deserve more of an opportunity with that. Distribution-wise, if you want to do a project with her, okay, cool, no problem. You know what I mean? That would have been nice if she did something with Empire maybe and did a 1-album deal with Empire, did a one-off with 300 Entertainment, because 300 does one-offs with people. They'll do one-offs with you. They did one with Rob Banks. They were going to do one with us too, but the A&R that we was working with, it didn't go nice with him, so it kind of fell apart. But that's another situation. But back to the point, I don't agree with it at all. I think it's whack. I think I just think that we're getting away from the essence of music in hip hop, which is street.
One thing I noticed, just I've been a DJ for a long time, and early '90s, you'd have your Tupacs, your Biggie, all these albums that come out. They have some staying power. They actually are popular for a long time. Whereas now, I think we get inundated with music to the point where there's so much of it coming out. How can any track be, as popular or have the staying power as, a Tupac or a Biggie?
It can't. And I'll tell you another reason why it can't either. And this is why you guys will always see me talk about this on the internet. I understand where they want to go with the direction of hip hop, but hip hop is meant to be street. Hip hop is meant to represent the ghetto. Hip hop is meant to represent the inner streets of our communities in the United States of America. That's what it's meant for. For us to blur it and to water it down with individuals that have no business rapping, to be honest with you, it puts the industry in a very weird position, in a very peculiar position, because we understand that business needs to be made and everything is from a dollars and cents standpoint, but I'm also all about the culture, and I'm also about the significance of it and the importance of it. So my thing is that, like you said, buying All Eyes on Me from Tupac, I'm 29. So, Tupac 1997, All Eyes on Me was a double disc. That's a classic.
And you would have it in your car and you'd hear it every day, 30, for 6 months until you found something else.
Exactly. Or Me Against the World. Or I remember, I used to listen to rock groups too. I listened to Korn. I used to listen to Korn a lot back in 1997, 98. I listened to Limp Bizkit. I listened to, who else I used to listen to a lot? I used to listen to some Marilyn Manson shit. Marilyn Manson was from West Palm. Marilyn Manson was from West Palm Beach. So, he wasn't too far away from me. Like, my mom actually knows him because of, my mom is a hotel executive. So she would know him through, coming through hotels when he first started up, before the face paint and all the other crazy antics and stuff like that. So,
it's funny that you brought up Korn. We were just in the car the other day and I heard Korn's cover of Wicked by Ice Cube. And I was just like, come on. It's super old, but it made me laugh. I loved it. It was cool.
Jonathan's cool, the lead singer. I like him, and they had that one video, I'll never forget, the fucking video was like the bullet, a bullet was shot out of a gun, and the bullet just
got the life, I think it was.
Yeah, it got light. It just went through so much shit throughout the whole video. That video changed me. Those I'll remember as one of the most distinctive videos that changed my life through music. And you just don't get that anymore. And I feel like that's what the kids are missing, and I feel like that's what experiences of music that I wish they would have. Going to FYE or going to a CD store and buying that brand new CD and being happy as hell that you're breaking off the plastic.
It was an investment too. Instead of just downloading an app and streaming it for free, they had to make an investment in the artist. And I think that's lost as well. Now the only investment is maybe a ticket to go see the show.
Exactly. And the ticket is the ticket is a good thing, and that's a good point that you bring up, actually, because that's really the only way now that you can kind of invest back into these artists. I feel like you guys know too, when the whole Napster wave came about and LimeWare and all of these software started to come up, it was revolutionary. And you remember, I remember this one guy, I forgot his name, I forgot what band he was from, but he hated the fact of Napster taking over.
You thinking Lars Ulrich maybe from
him. Yes, I'll never forget. He was, because Kurt Loder used to come on MTV News all the time and talk about him bitching and complaining about the whole Napster wave. And it's when we were coming up as consumers, we were like, fuck him. We just want our music for free. But it actually kind of did destroy it a little bit.
Yeah, well, it definitely changed it for sure. It's 100% different now. On on that point, or sort of to that end, back to independence a little bit, can you talk about how important social media is? I know like a lot of artists seem to use social for everything. And, you always hear the story of the one guy that broke that way or whatever. But like, I see that like, you and DP, like you guys aren't maybe super attached to it, like you're not real heavy in the social media presence. Do you think it's key? Do you think it's better to be a little low key rather than put everything out there? How do you think it helps or hurts?
I think in his instance, for example, as a producer, they're looking to him. If he's got a lot of hot tracks and working with artists, he doesn't really need to have a social network. They're going to find him regardless. Versus,
it is like that for DP. It is. For me, I've always had, like when I did the Foul Hundreds back in 2013, one of the slogans was remain nameless. So I had this whole big thing about like, I didn't want anybody to know that I was the owner of the website, because I just wanted to create something that people would love and appreciate and respect. And they didn't have to know that it was me, because once people know that your name is on it, then they start to feel a certain way about it. So the reason why I say that is because even with my social media, that's why I am the way that I am. I've always been that way in a business and a branding point, because the less that you see me, the more that you become curious and you become more wondering, well, what does he got going on? Like, why does he always shy away from the spotlight? Why does he always seem like he's so distant? I want to know more about him. It's like a Rubik's Cube. You want to figure it out. If I give you all the cards on the table the first 15 minutes that you meet me, there's nothing else you want to know about me.
Yeah. No, I actually think that's a really smart perspective. I come from the advertising side, so I work in advertising and marketing, and I mean the big buzz, is, oh God, social media for this, social media for that, and and I think there's really something to overusing it or not using it correctly. Coming into it with a strategy like, hey, I don't want to put too much out there, I think is really smart.
You have to, because you have to, and just to give a point to your listeners too, just for anybody that is that's coming up or anybody that's trying to do something in this type of realm of music in any genre, you always want to brand yourself in a specific way. You always want to have a level of rareness or exclusivity to yourself. You never want to expose too much of yourself, because once you give up too much of yourself, then people become not interested in you anymore. I call it the video game effect. If you buy a video game, if you buy Grand Theft Auto and you finish it and beat it in 5 days or 3 days, you know what you're going to do after you beat it? It's going to sit and collect dust.
Never going to play it again. Yeah.
Months, you're never going to play it again. So if I rather be like Gran Turismo, where it takes you forever to beat the game, and then be a Grand Theft Auto and let you beat the game in 3 days.
Well, and you look at the artist like Buckethead, for example. Like. Dude wears a bucket on his head. I checked him out just because of that. I mean, like the seclusion, the hiding behind a bucket to perform is just unique to me.
Well, yeah, or you look at Gorillaz or any of these other artists that do that kind of thing. Well, and you alluded to this earlier, Red, but you were talking about authenticity, and I wanted to talk to you like the importance of authenticity, and you started to talk about it with social media and defining yourself and knowing who you are. But I know that for you, authenticity is really important, working with trap artists and other artists. And I read on Twitter, or actually Borja read on Twitter, that you were thinking about starting a record label or something to create new opportunities for minorities and sort of preserve the culture. Can you talk a little about that?
Absolutely. So, I mean, for me, I have a lot of experience in business. So just to give you guys a little bit of what I do also on the other end that people don't know about, I am in hotel management. I've done hotel management started in 2006. It's 18. So for 12 years, I've worked in Starwood Hotels, Marriott Hotels, Fairmont, Accor, all these type of hotel companies within management. So I understand budgets and projections and forecasts and, these type of business things and business structure. That's why my management style is so good, and it works because I've actually managed a group of people before. So with that being said, the label thing is that DP and myself, we just want to give people opportunities. You know what I mean? Because for us, we make money and we're doing pretty well and life seems good and everything is great, but it's really all about what is the lasting images that we're leaving for the next generation. You know what I mean? What are we really doing to set up the next generation for success? So, because that's what the generation before us did. They set up the tools for us to be successful. So we have to advance it and take it to the next level. That's our responsibility. So I now see what the music game is offering. And as you guys can see, we're putting records up just as good as what the labels put up. So, and I mean, we're working with people from all across the board, from Young Beef to Spain to ATL Spook in Atlanta to young bands and, you know, TK. Like I talked about that TK record a couple days ago, like how it may never come out and stuff like that. We work with everybody. So I just want to start giving opportunities to people and, you know, and steer them in the right direction. And I want to teach them life lessons too about like, when we do that and we actually create the label and we bring people on board, like I want to give individuals life lessons too. Like you don't need to 97 tattoos on your face. You will
Thank you.
Yeah, you will eventually be 30 one day, or you'll be 35. You'll be grown if you can make it that far, and you're gonna look at yourself in the mirror when you have kids, and you're gonna be like, "What the fuck is this on my face?" Yeah. You know what I mean? So let's take a step back a little bit and let's actually look at the bigger picture. A lot of times these labels, and that's why I get on these A&Rs a lot, is because you guys are not telling these kids how to live their lives as normal citizens and human beings.
They get a wad of cash and don't know what to do with it or how to be financially responsible with it.
Exactly.
You know,
and if you're the A&R, in my opinion, if you're the A&R, you're steering these individuals' lives in the directions that you see fit.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's almost like these guys with the NFL and the concussions. You know, now for a long time the NFL players were a commodity. But now they're starting to take care of people and trying to, you know, make sure that they're going to be okay in the long run, you know, with financial planning, concussions, all this other stuff. But it's really the same in music, right? Especially for these young kids.
The kids, I mean, you have to think of it like, guys, just think of it from this perspective. Like, I'm going to break something down to you. So a kid signs for, let's say, $150,000, $200,000. You get an advance on that whole lump sum. Normally, the label's not gonna give you a lump sum. They're not gonna give you $200,000 up front. They'll give you probably like $100,000, and then they'll spread you out the remaining $100,000. Okay, you're 19. You just signed for that. You signed for 3 years on a deal. You just got to advance on $200,000. You're 19. How do you expect to pay that back? But you're 19, though. You're not even thinking about that. Because I remember at 19, I wasn't caring about, I got to pay this back in 3 or 4 years. Yeah, I'll figure it out when the time comes. But you're not even really at that age yet to really think about, should I be spending my money? Should I be doing this? Really, should I sign this? Like, you're not thinking about those things.
Well, and it seems like, a lot of artists are getting signed really young, too. You know, you look at like the Lil Pumps and those kinds of guys. And I mean, they're coming in at 16, 17 years old, so I mean, a 19-year-old's mature for a 16-year-old. It's
crazy. I remember Little Pump. I swear on everything that I love. I remember him as Little Pump Jet Ski, Smoke Perp. I remember Smoke Perp. I love Smoke Perp. I love him. He's a good kid, man.
Yeah, they're all South Florida too, right?
He was, because we all from there. So I remember seeing them at like shows, like Reds Do Florida shows with like Mars and Yo Jose. Like, they used to do shows with Wi-Fi Funeral. He's managed by my good friend Tarek, which is the guy, Coach T. He's the guy that runs Rolling Loud. That's his manager. That's Wi-Fi's Funeral's manager. So the guy who runs the whole Rolling Loud series. So I know him. He has a company named Dopey and T. That's one of my friends. We're all from South Florida. Like, I tell people, like, this is very, very, very connected. Very connected.
Yeah.
So
speaking of that, and maybe this is a little bit of a step backwards, but you can talk about. Can you talk about how you met DP? How that whole relationship came to be?
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2015, I think. Well, before then, I had artists that I managed that I was working with. So they needed beats. So I ended up getting beats from Dirty Vans first, which is he was one of Fredo Santana's main producers. He did like one of his main songs, like from the beginning, the early days. So I linked up with him. He put me in tune with Bass Kids on the Beat. He produced for Chief Keef and Ball Out. Let me see something real quick. Give me a second. Oh, okay. Nah. So my phone just went off. That's all good.
Getting hit in the DMs.
Yeah. Somebody hit me up, and I was like, "Who is this?" So anyway, so DP, me and him started talking. We met through Bass Kid. So everybody basically I met through the Glow Gang producers kind of plugged me into DP eventually. So I met DP initially first when Tech came out with Chief Keef. So that was like 2014, like the summer of 2014. So I think, if I'm not mistaken. So he wanted to come to Art Basel one day. He wanted to come down to South Florida. Me and him was talking during the time, last couple of months. We've been talking while he was living at Sosa House. So we've been talking. He said he wants to come to South Florida. When you come down here, he's like, I don't know where I can find a hotel. So you can just stay with me, bro. So he came and stayed at my house. He was supposed to stay there for a couple of days. He ended up staying for like a month. And then the rest is history. Man. We just started working together from there.
Yeah,
and
killer.
That's my brother, man. Like, you know what I mean? That's my brother. Like, we done did everything. We done went to Cali. We done went to everywhere, man.
Nice.
We up here
coming
now.
Soon to Utah.
Yeah, man. We definitely. I got this one person like from Utah. Like some girl, like she's been following me since like 2013, I think, or 14. She don't never say nothing. All she does is favorite my shit. So, but she's from Utah. I don't know where in Utah. Like I don't know where, but she's from Utah. So
funny.
I'm quite sure she's probably happy to hear this interview eventually when it comes out. So,
cool. So let's talk a little bit forward thinking. Right now you're working with artists. Well, between you and DP, you're working with artists like C. Honcho, Young Bands.
Yeah.
Some of these other dudes. Who are you working with, and who do you think's going to pop this year? Like, what do you think? If you were just to gaze into your crystal ball, what do you think's going to go on this year?
Young Bands is definitely getting the push. I'll tell you the guys that right now. I mean, if nobody sees that Young Bands is getting the push right now, you're blind in hip hop. So, Young Bands right now is definitely probably one of the first ones that are probably going to go this year. I wouldn't be surprised if he's on Double XL's freshman list for this year. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Who else? Slime Cito. Yeah, go ahead.
He was recently signed to Free Bands, the Futures label, right?
Yeah, he got like a little situation with them through Young Scooter and through Scooter and Future and all the rest of the guys over there. So, like I said, I mean, I've been dealing with him since 2015, 2016. So when nobody really knew him like that. So, but he's definitely one of the ones to go. Slime Cito, people are gonna start hearing a lot about him. I'm trying to tell you, people are really sleep on him. But Slime Cito is probably one that's gonna pick up. ATL Smook is a solid one that's going to pick up. There's a lot of people, man. There's just a lot of guys. Everybody that we're working with, I would not be surprised if they get situations this year. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. Anybody.
I really like the California Rari by Young Bands, the track that GXXT produced. That was a hot track.
See, it was so funny about that track too. We had that track forever. And I didn't really I was like, that track's all right. Like, that's the funniest thing about me. Like, I was listening to the track one day and I was like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, it's all right. You know what I mean? I was like, it's cool. So 10 Deep hit me up and they were like, so, what's up? Like, you got any records? I'm like, yeah, I got some records here. I'll send y'all some stuff. I just so happened to skip over that song like 5 minutes before they had texted me. So I was like, I'm just going to send them the song. Whatever. I don't really care. We'll see what happens. That's the first thing I said in my head. I was like, we'll see what happens. I'm just going to send them the song. And he was like 2 months later, he hits me up and he's like, yeah, man, California Rari, we're going with that record. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, we're going with the record, man. Well, yeah. No, Scott likes it. Scott's the owner of 10 Deep. So he's like, yeah, he likes it a lot, man. We're going to run with the record. I'm like, all right, yeah, no problem. So they dropped the record. And then next thing I know, I'm like, damn, everybody likes this record. I'm like, what the heck? I was wrong on that record. I'm not wrong on a lot of records, but I'll be the first person to say I was wrong on that record. I didn't think it was going to go that hard.
Track that, it takes 3 months for it to break, and then when it does, there's a few of them. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but
I got people right now, actually. I got people from labels right now that are hitting me up talking about, what about that California Rari record? We want to really push it out and do a real single and do a real campaign behind it. And I'm like, we could talk about it, but I never thought in a million years like that song would be the one, And then I started looking on 10 Deep SoundCloud and seeing how many hits it started getting. I was like, damn, this song's kind of picking up. Last time I checked, it was like at 140 or 150,000 plays. So I was like, damn, this song's actually picking up. Young Beef, we're in the works of doing a remix right now with Young Beef. So that's something that, because Young Beef wants to do it. Like, he keeps texting me about it. Like, I need the song. And I'm like, all right, bro, I got you. Because DP's in LA right now. He's with Wiz Khalifa right now. So it's like, it's hard to get in contact and to steer him away from working with Wiz to do that. You know what I mean? So, because we have to open up the record and open the verse up. So,
speaking about Young Beef, like, first of all, congratulations
Thank you
for your first ever international
thanks,
album
man. Appreciate
placement.
It. It's just crazy. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Young Beef. He's about to release his new album February 1st, Agro Mix 4. I really, I'm curious. I would like to know how you both link up. How did you meet him? How was that?
It's crazy
because he cannot come to the USA, right? He's banned, or he tried to come.
I don't know his situation. Like, that's, you know what? That's so funny that you even mentioned that, because somebody else said that to me before, and I said to myself, I was like, they're like, yo, how did you even link up with him? He can't even come here. And I was like, I don't know anything about that, but yeah, I'm just working with him. So
yeah, no, it's funny because we had heard that he, because of criminal past and things like that he wasn't able to actually even come into the States. I guess he was going to do South by Southwest, and he
I didn't even know that.
So
I didn't even know that. So that's funny. I'm gonna ask him about that. But
but yeah, how did you guys connect in the first place?
Yeah, it was one day. It was weird. Like, I just I woke up one day and I was on Twitter and I saw like this guy follow me, and I was like, who the hell is this? It was like Seco Codeine.
Seco Weed. Yeah, that Seco Weed Codeine on Twitter.
Who the hell is this? Like, I don't even know who this is. So I was like, I see he's verified. I'm like, you know what? I'm reading up about him a little bit. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to follow him. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know who he is, but I'm going to figure out who he is. Like, sometimes when it comes to stuff like that, if I don't, I'll take a chance on it and see who you are just to see what it is. So I followed him back. We started talking, and then, like, next thing you know, it was just like, man, we started getting real close. We started talking every day. And then we did CBR, obviously, as you know.
Which was premiered by Vice.
By Vice. Yeah, Vice did the premiere on the international side, and Lyrical Lemonade did the shout out to my brother, man, Lil Jake from the 13th. Lil Jake from the 13th is my guy. That's my brother. I love him to death. He did the Lyrical Lemonade promotion on the US side. So Beef has just been a great guy, man. Great, solid person, man. And we're doing the new album. CBR is going on the album. That's the placement I have, but he's remastering it. So that is the reason why, and I think he's updating it and he's doing new verses to it or something like that.
Cool.
So if you notice, that's why the video is down. Like, he's taking all the stuff down from it. So, because we're redoing it back.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Yeah, that was a strange movement. Everyone in Spain was like, what is this guy doing with more than 100,000 followers on YouTube? He just put down everything on YouTube. Like, where is that music? Where are, like, tracks with more than 8 million views? Because for the ones who don't know, Young Beef is a trap artist, is an icon, is a model also for Calvin Klein. He's the father of the new generation of artists in Spain. He changed the game completely. He put that upside down. The people at the beginning, they didn't understand anything, and now everybody's like, "Oh, we want to be like Young Beef. We want to work with him, and you are working with him in America." That's cool.
That's crazy. I did. Thank you so much. I mean, I never knew any of this stuff until I did my research on him, obviously, but it's a blessing to work with him. It's a blessing to make music with him. The CBR record, to me, people tell me all the time, they're like, you don't understand like how amazing that record was for Spain. I was like, yeah, really? I'm like, I've never been to Spain, so I don't know, but I have people from Spain that hit me up all the time, and they're like, because I have my WhatsApp, and they hit me up and they're like, you don't understand how good this record is for Spain. And I was like, damn, I didn't even know it was that big.
All right,
like,
well, I guess we're gonna have to do a show over there too.
I didn't know.
We're gonna be dragging you guys' ass all
know.
over the planet.
Yeah,
I
actually,
didn't know.
yeah, he has a show like next month with Chief Keef in Spain.
Yeah, he does.
Like,
And
I hope Chief Keef.
I love him, man. That's my brother.
Yeah,
Cool.
and I know that you have been premiering some music by Cito and you and Beef, so they're working on music together. You are putting those tracks together.
Yeah, I had put a track together with Slime Cito and Young Beef. I'm most likely it's gonna be my record because I got Cito put a verse in for me and Young Beef put a verse in for me. So I'm most likely gonna end up dropping it on Vice Spain. We're gonna premiere it over there. And I'm very excited to premiere it because, Slime Cito, he's from Atlanta. He's a good friend of mine, but he is Panamanian also. So he has that Hispanic background. And I think that would be something really dope and interesting to put them two together. So that's why I did it. And
Cool.
It's produced by Dolan Beats, which is one of my other good friends in the trap game. So, like I tell you guys, Eggs, all the time, man, I'm working with so many different people. Like A&Rs, like look at me and they're like, yo, like how the hell do you put all these things together? Like you don't even have half the resources we have. And I'm like, I don't know.
Just
man.
networking,
Like,
just network.
I just
network,
I don't know.
And let us know.
Just
I
do
mean,
it.
we have a presence over in Spain too. We do. I have an office over there, and we do some work. And so, I mean, anything we can do to help on the Spanish side too.
That'll be beautiful, man. I mean, also, I want to give a huge shout out before I go any further with the interview. I want to give a huge shout out to 10 Deep Clothing. Like, shout out to Jordan, shout out to Scott, shout out to everybody in the office from the marketing side and from the public relations side. You guys have been taking care of me and DP a lot.
Yeah, and I actually had that. Yeah, I actually had that next on the list. If who are 10 Deep and what's that all about?
I figured 10 Deep, basically, they've been around since 1995, actually. They're like a urban street clothing brand similar to Stussy. I don't know if you guys have ever heard Stussy before.
I remember Stussy.
Or,
I remember that stuff.
Yeah, exactly, like Stussy or like Undefeated or like the Hundreds. They're kind of similar to that, but they're based out of New York City. They have their clothes all across the country, actually, like in malls, like Zoomies and like other places and stuff like that. So they're just a good, dope clothing brand that we've known for a little while. We had a relationship with them. We started modeling their clothes, and then we were sponsored by them. And then next thing you know, they started wanting records. I gave them one. I gave them California Rari, and then they liked that, and they ran with it. Then they took the activist track I had called Shine, which I had already posted on my account, but they wanted it anyway, which is, shout out to them. And now we're doing another record with them, so that they got from me. So that's 3 records back to back on their SoundCloud. So, we're building with them, and we're building a big campaign. We're going to do the lookbook with them. DP is scheduled to do some modeling shots for their lookbook for their 2018 collection. So it's all smiles and all good things over here with us in 10 Deep. I think one of the biggest things that we could do in hip hop again is really influence music through streetwear. I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to blend in music and streetwear together because within the hip hop industry, as you guys well know, especially coming up back in the day in the 90s, clothes really influenced the hip hop game tremendously. You know what I mean? What we wear, how we wear it, like how we move and how we carry ourselves on a day-to-day basis. I just want to bring that culture back again. I want to bring streetwear. I just want to bring it back. So,
Nice.
Of course there's Supreme and all these other places. And don't get me wrong, I still wear Supreme, but,
Yeah, no, I love it, man. Well, hey, I guess then to sort of bring this thing to a close, can I ask you you've sort of touched on a lot of this stuff anyway. So, I mean, I don't know if you have anything else to say, but, can you offer up any like sort of keys to success, motivation, how to get that hustle on, tips and advice for not maybe just specifically working in the music business, but just working in general? Just life lessons for the little ones.
Life lessons for the kids and for the little ones, everybody that's listening. You just got to stay committed and you got to stay focused and keep your eye on the ball at all times. within any industry that you do. I've worked at McDonald's. I've worked at millions and millions of hotels that brought in a lot of money to the bottom line for a lot of general managers and owners and shareholders. And now I'm doing music. It's all relative to the fact that you must stay committed. You're going to run into a lot of trials and tribulations. You're going to run into a lot of situations where you are going to be tested on how much you really want it. How much do you really want that pot of gold at the end of the tunnel? It's hard. I know it's hard, especially when you're doing anything passionate in regards to music or entertainment or arts or anything that you're trying to do in those areas. You need capital. You need money. You need startup. You need people to support you because you're doing all these things and you like it, but you don't know if the general population likes it. You got to stay committed. You got to stay focused. You gotta continue to pray, and you gotta continue to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I've been up and down within this industry, and I've been up and down in general in life in regards to my trials and tribulations. I didn't finish college. I didn't get a college degree or anything like that. I dropped out of college. So with that being said, the proverbial or the traditional way that you're supposed to do it in this country, which is go to school for 4 years, get out of high school, go to college for 4 years, get a degree, get a house and kids. And
something, I actually kind of want to speak on that a little bit just because of my own experience. Like I went through the college thing and I did, racked up the student debt, and I didn't even end up doing anything with the degree that I got. And so to me, it's like, I see the necessity of it for some, careers and some paths that people choose. Like if you're going to be a doctor, by all means, go to college.
Of course.
But if you're going to try and go and be like a web developer or someone on that front, you can almost get a degree without going and paying the 40 grand to get it, just by doing a little research on your own. And if you have the hustle and the drive to actually succeed on your own, why go and get the piece of paper?
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, the hustle is,
too.
Whether it's web development or the music biz or whatever, I mean, it's really all about that hustle. And like you're saying, Red, to stay committed. And I think that's really good advice to sort of go out on.
It's a big thing that I think people don't necessarily pay attention to. Like I remember vividly getting out of high school every day, and I had to walk 7 miles because I didn't have nobody to give me a ride to walk to night school
with no shoes in the snow.
You know what I mean? I had to walk I have to walk in the snow. I've walked in the snow before to go to work to make the money that I needed to pay my bills, but to also have a little bit of money extra left over to put something into the businesses that I'm trying to make flourish too. It's all about the sacrifice.
Oh, yeah.
You have to make a sacrifice, and there is no other way that you can get around it. You cannot be successful in anything that you do if you consistently go out and party and you go out and mingle with people. Sometimes you have to be antisocial and you have to step away from everybody, and you have to key in and focus on yourself to develop yourself properly.
Well,
that's what I did. That's what I did, and that's what worked for me. And I think for other individuals that can work for them as well. It's hard. I know it is. It's very hard, but you gotta stay committed. I know personally for me, my life and everything that I've done thus far, I give all thanks and grace to God, but at the same token too, he gave me the strength and knowledge that I needed to be able to persevere. So I pass that on to others, that you can have anything that you want in this world, but you just got to be able to work for it. And that's it.
I think that's really good advice. And actually, it's kind of a recurring theme. We've talked to a lot of artists, musicians, business owners and things on this show. And that seems to be sort of that underlying thread. Everybody is looking for the quick fix or the fast way to get there, but it's not real. That's everybody wants the BMW or the Mercedes-Benz parked outside with the big house and the everybody wants that, which it's not, there's not a problem with that, and some of us have it, and we're grateful for that. But the thing that people don't see is that, okay, you got to get your ass up sometimes and go to work in that damn snow. You know what I mean? Or sometimes you got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and take this conference call or meeting with somebody in another state
or in another time zone because you're doing business with somebody for something that's going to materialize 8 months down the road. You know what I mean? It's those things that people don't see or don't hear about or read about that they just think never happens. They think like, oh, he just came out of nowhere. He's with DP and they have a bunch of money now. No,
yeah, and they didn't see
we
the
had to
10
work.
years
We
it
had to
took to
work
get
a
there.
lot for that. Yeah, we had to work a lot for that. I mean, like I come from hard work. Like for me personally, I remember days when I was making $6.15 an hour and I was only making $150 every 2 weeks on a paycheck. I only had enough money to buy a pair of Air Jordans. Like I was 16, 17. That was my priorities at the time. I wanted to have a fresh pair of sneakers to go to high school with. You know what I mean? So it's all relative to the point of hard work. And that's what working does. And I think that's what it does better than a piece of paper or going to school. That direct interaction with the working class, or that direct interaction with mingling with people, networking with people, is what can propel you to the top, because that's what happened with me. I've always met individuals that could put me in a better position in anything that I do in life. So and I didn't need no piece of paper to accompany me with that. I just needed myself and my talking points, and that's it. And I think that everybody could do that. But the question is that, are you willing to make the sacrifice? That's really what it boils down to.
100%.
Even with you guys on your show. I mean, you guys have your own things going on and stuff like that, but you guys make the personal commitment to do the show and to do it at the level and the quality that you guys want it to be, and that's a sacrifice. Well, and that's why your show does as well as it does.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that's the thing, right? That's what separates those who do from those who don't. Is that little bit of internal fortitude. All right. Well, to wrap this thing up, check out our pal Redlight, Almighty Red on Twitter.
Yeah,
seems to be most active on Twitter. He's also at I Hate Redlight on Instagram.
On Instagram, I'm very weird. I'm very weird on Instagram, though. I'll have like a bunch of pictures and I'll just delete everything. and then I'll put like something up again and then I'll just delete it. And then it's like, if you want more consistency from me, then you find me on Twitter. I'm more consistent on there. I like to bug out sometimes, but I'm a nice, pretty decent individual, man. I'm okay sometimes. When you catch me at the right time.
All right. And you can also find some of what he's working on by searching Leaders of the New Trap Sound on SoundCloud.
Boom.
You can check out the clothing brand sponsoring him, 10 Deep. That's at 10 Deep on Twitter. And any parting shots, or Ed, anything else you want to plug coming up?
Absolutely. Thank you to you guys at Eggs for letting me come onto your platform and to speak with you guys and to your users and to your loyal listeners and speak to them about my life and my trials and tribulations that I've gone through. It's very appreciative for myself and from DP. Also, I wanted to shout out everybody back home from South Florida. Shout out to my sister, Kanji. She's knocked out right now. She's asleep, but I love her to death. Can't you say hi? I can't say hi. You're asleep. I love you. Anyway, so she's knocked out. She just caught a flight from Atlanta. But shout out to all my leaders of the New Trap Sound, all my guys, man, from the East Coast to the West Coast. Man, I'm rocking with you all the way. 12 million. Bronx, stand up. Harlem, stand up. South Florida, Coconut Creek, 36 Ave, stand up. All that stupid shit I be talking about on the internet. I'm with all that shit right now towards the end. I've been professional with you guys from the beginning. Now it's time for me to talk my stupid shit.
Cool, bro. Well, so we'll see you, I guess, in Utah, or maybe we'll catch up in New York City next time we're out your way.
We will catch up very soon. I do want to come to Utah, man. I want to come out there and hang out. I know there's more than just what I don't know what's out there, but
Mormon.
Yeah, we got snow, we got cold weather, we got all the things people like.
Cool, we got cold weather too right now. So I'm gonna come over there and come kick it over there with you guys, and maybe you can take me to some skiing or something like that. I want to do some skiing shit.
That sounds right, man. Come on out, you'd be our guest for sure.
Yeah, man. But thanks again for the opportunity,
of
guys.
Of course, cool. So in closing, you can learn more about me, Ryan Rogar, my company R2 Media Group at r2mg.com at R2mg on Twitter.
You can find out about me at djontic.com. That's ONTIC. And Borja, where can they find you?
They can find me in the darkest places in Utah.
Hiding in the corners.
They can find me on Twitter too, at Navasus. I'm there just following Redlight all day, and you can find me on Instagram too, but I'm not very
active.
Not very active.
Cool, bro. All right. Well, hey, man, thanks again so much for doing the show. So stoked we could finally make some time to make it happen.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it, man. Love you guys, man. Thank you for everything.
Take care, man.
All right, take care.
All right, you guys too. Bye-bye.